Alright guys, here's need to know skill number 5, function transformation. Alright, so the question says given f of x is graphed below, draw g of x if g of x is equal to this function right here. So whenever you're seeing questions that look like this, guys, you need to remember that this is going to formulate a transformation. So again, we're doing a transformation. Alright, so when you're doing transformation, you need to remember some key things, okay? Whenever you see something that looks similar to this, where you see a number inside of the parentheses and a number on the outside, it tells you a certain direction, okay? So the inside number tells you if you're going either left or right, okay? And the number that's on the outside tells you if you're either going up or down, okay? You need to also remember that the number on the inside, you always need to do the opposite of it, okay? So whatever it's doing, you need to do the opposite of it. So if you see a -2, you're going to add 2. If you see a +2, you're going to subtract 2, okay? So you're probably wondering, well, what am I going to be applying this to, okay? So what we're going to do is that we're going to firstly look at a point where all points meet. So we're going to look at that vertex, okay? And then I'm going to apply this to my vertex. So first I need to figure out what this coordinate is. So the coordinate for this vertex is when x is -4 and when the y value is -3. That's the coordinate of this vertex. Alright? Now I'm going to use this to transform it. Okay? So if I have a -4 and a -3, the -4 is your x. Alright? And a -3 is your y. Okay? So the number that's on the inside applies to your x. Because again, it's the closest thing to your x. The number on the outside applies to your y. Okay? So for my y value, I'm going to just add 3 to it. I don't need to do the opposite of that. For your x value, I need to do the opposite. So instead of subtracting 2, I'm going to add 2 to my x value. Alright? So that means that when we calculate -4 plus 2, you get -2, and -3 plus 3 is 0. So the new coordinate for your vertex is going to be -2, 0. So that would be right here, and your graph will look something like this, okay? So it looks something like this. Alright? So again, guys, just like that. Alright, so what you're doing is that you're shifting your vertex, alright, to give you a new point or to transform it to get a new point. Alright, so let's try to do the next one. So again, guys, we need to remember that general form, that a number on the inside tells you left or right. You have to do the opposite, and the number on the outside tells you up or down. But I need to first identify my vertex. So all points met right here at the coordinate -4, -3. So that's the coordinate that we're trying to transform. Okay? So again, the -4 is your x, the -3 is your y. So again, number on the outside, the +2, changes your y value. So again, that would be a +2 out there. Okay? And the number on the inside changes your x value. But you have to do the opposite. So instead of adding 1, you're going to subtract 1 from your x value. So you would end up having -4 minus 1 is -5, -3 plus 2 is -1. So the coordinate for your new vertex would be -5 for the x and -1 for y. So that would be right here. Alright? So our graph will now look something similar to what I'm going to draw right now. So it looks something similar to what I'm seeing right here. Alright, so again, guys, that is my g of x. Okay, this right here was my f of x. Okay, the same way this was my g of x over here. Okay, and then this was my f of x. Alright, so again, guys, just like that. So let's try the next set of problems. So the next one said is if f of x contains the coordinate 2, 8, then what coordinate must be on g of x given that g of x is equal to this transformation? Alright? So in this case, guys, we're trying to transform our coordinate to 8. Alright? But we need to remember the general form, which is that f of x, some number, parentheses, some number. The number on the inside tells you a direction, left or right. The number on the outside tells you another direction, up or down, okay? So, and you have to remember to do the opposite of the inside number, okay? So here, I don't see a number on the outside, so that means I'm not going to be going up or down, okay? But I do see a number on the inside, a -5, but we have to do the opposite of that, so it's going to be a +5 applied to my x value, all right? So when we apply that +5, you get 7, okay? But if you see, there's a number in front of our function that's in front of that f, okay? That number just tells me what I need to do to my y value. So all I need to do to my y value is just multiply it by 2, okay? So my y value is 8, and if I multiply that by 2, I get 60. And this would be the coordinate for g of x. All right? So let's do the next question, guys. So again, the next question looks similar to that general form, f of x, some number, parentheses, some number, where the inside number tells you left or right. The outside number tells you up or down. And you have to remember to do the opposite of that inside number. So again, the coordinate we're changing is 2, 8. This is your x, this is your y. So again, the -2 changes the y value. Do you do the opposite of that? No. All right. And the +3 changes your x value. Do you do the opposite of that? Yes. So I subtract 3. So my new coordinate for g of x is going to be 2 take away 3, -1, 8 take away 2, 6. And that is my new coordinate. All right. So again, guys, that is it. Okay. So let's try to do the next question, guys. So the next question actually gave us a graph, okay? So it says complete the transformation rule for the function f of x and g of x, okay? So again, the function rule is going to look something like this, where g of x is equal to f of some number, all right, inside of the parentheses, and then some number on the outside. Remember, the number on the inside tells you left or right, okay? And you always need to do the opposite. And the number on the outside tells you up or down, okay? So when I'm doing this, guys, I'm trying to get this f of x to become g of x, okay? So if I'm trying to get f of x, so it says complete the transformation rule for the functions f of x and g of x. So I need to get f of x to be g of x. So I'm going to go from this vertex point to this vertex point. So to go from here to here, would I need to go up or down? I would need to go down 1, 2, 3 times. Because you went down, it would be at what type of 3? A -3, all right? Do you do the opposite of when you're going up or down? No. So that means that there's just a -3 on the outside right here, okay? Now you would move to get to this point, you would have to go to the left 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Normally when you go to the left, that's a -4. But because you have to do the opposite of when you go left or right, this -4 is going to be represented as a +4. All right. So my answer for g of x is f of x plus 4 minus 3. All right. So let's try to do the next one. So the next one says complete the transformation rule for the function f of x and g of x graph below. Alright, so when we're doing this, guys, we need to remember that g of x is equal to f of parentheses x, some number, parentheses, some number on the outside. Alright, the number on the inside tells you a direction, left or right. And whenever you're looking left or right, you always need to do the opposite. And the number on the outside tells you up or down. Okay, so we're going from f to g. So again, from f to g. So to get from f to g, would I need to go up or down? I would need to go down because we're going from the vertex to the vertex. So I need to go down once. So because I went down once, what type of one is that? A -1, all right? And whenever you're doing up or down, do you do the opposite of that? No. So I just write that -1, okay? So now I would need to move to the right side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Normally when you move to the right 6, it will be a positive 6. But because whenever you're doing left or right, you have to do the opposite, this positive 6 is actually going to be represented as a negative 6 inside of that parentheses. So our answer is going to be f of x minus 6 minus 1. Because again, this you have to do the opposite of. The same way we have to do the opposite of here. Alright? So again, guys, just like that. Okay? So final problem, guys. Final problem. So alright, so for the next one, it says complete the table of g of x. So we need to complete this table given the transformation rule of g of x. Okay? So again, we see that same setup where we know the number on the inside tells us what direction, guys. It tells us left or right, and you always need to do the opposite. Okay? I'm not going to write it again because I wrote it right here. And then the number on the outside, I will write up or down. Okay? And we need to also remember to do the opposite of the inside. Okay? Don't forget to do the opposite. Okay? So when I see this negative 2, what it actually means to me is that I'm going to not subtract 2, but add 2. Because I need to do the opposite. So all of my x values, I'm going to add 2 to them. Okay? So if I add 2 to this, I get 0. Add 2, I get 2. Add 2, I get 5. Add 2, I get 6. Alright? So again, guys, that's all the x values. All the y values, all I need to do is just add 1 to them. Because again, all I see is a positive 1, and we don't do the opposite of this. So I just add 1, add 1, add 1, add 1, because another name for f of x is y. Alright, so another name for f of x is your y value. Okay? So if I add 1, this will be 5, 6, 10, negative 1. Alright, and that is it. Okay? So let's do the next question, guys, the final question. So it says complete the table of g of x given the transformation rule. G of x is equal to this. So again, this means left or right, and we always need to do the opposite. And then this tells me another direction, up or down. Okay? So again, if I do the opposite of adding 3, I'm going to subtract 3. Am I going to subtract it from my y value or my x value? From my x, because again, this is inside the parentheses. Numbers inside the parentheses affect the x because it's closest to the x. Alright? But instead of adding 3, we're going to subtract 3 because we always need to do the opposite of what I see on the inside. Okay? So opposite of adding 3, subtracting 3, subtracting 3, subtracting 3, subtracting 3. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. This minus 3 is negative 3. Minus 3, 0. Minus 3, 1. Here, this number on the outside affects your y value. So all I'm going to do is subtract 4 from my y value. Because do I need to do the opposite of that number on the outside? No. So 4 take away 4, that would be 0. Then 1, then 5, then negative 6. Alright, so again, guys, just like